How's it going? Hi, how are you? Hi, hello. No. That's all right. How's it going? I hope you enjoyed that wonderful shot of wheat, just to get everyone in the mood. My name's Hamish, and I am the boss of today's proceedings. We are going to have a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun. I know a few people have even dressed up. I think I saw some boys in dresses before, which is awesome. I have dressed up as well, as me. So this is exactly the kind of thing I would wear. So we're all going to have a great day. We are here to meet and talk to someone very, very special, Santa. No, Santa cancelled because he's arrogant. Because he has a monopoly. So we got someone even better. Now, I know a lot of you will know who it is, but we're going to play a guessing game, and if you get it right... What's your name, mate? I don't want to embarrass you. What's your name? Riley. It wasn't embarrassing you at all. You're very confident. You embarrassed me. All right, Riley, if you guess our guest's name correctly, he'll come out. If not, we all have to go home. Okay? But I'll give you some clues. He's done a lot of great stuff on TV. He's written some incredible books. Okay? That's the stuff he has done. He hasn't, eaten a bus. Or kissed a seagull for more than 5 minutes. Does that narrow it down? I mean, I'll need to actually get down to you because I've got the microphone on. But what's his name? You need to come here. You need to say it into this little... See, I'm wearing a Tic Tac on a stick. That's...
David Walliams?
Yes, David Walliams. You got it, Riley. Well done. Is he behind me? Yes. Oh, God. Riley saved the whole event. It is David Walliams. He's going to be in conversation with us. I shouldn't have done that, Riley. I mean, that's not your fault at all. That's me. He's going to be in conversation with us today. We're going to have a lot of fun. Does this still work now that I've squashed it? Yeah, great. Would you please welcome that man, David Walliams.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Lower your expectations. Thank you. Amazing introduction.
Oh, thank you so much.
Such a shame we didn't get Andy. There we go. But it was another $10 if we wanted him, and so we did a deal, didn't we?
It's what my family says at every Christmas. Is Andy coming? Not this year, Mum, but maybe one year. David, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So exciting. Well, I know we've only got limited time. We've got so much to talk about. So can we start from the top? I know a lot of people have compared you to a modern-day Roald Dahl, or an even more modern day, because Roald's not that olden days. I think it's an apt description. I think a lot of people would agree that you're right up there with Roald. Now, he's one of my own personal heroes. I know he's one of yours. Is there something from his writing? Is there something that sort of stands out to you as like the gold standard of writing from Roald Dahl? Like one of his books or a moment in your... When you look back at his
okay,
tomes.
Stop talking. And
all right, well, I just thought...
Say something. It's quite a long question.
Yeah, it was 60% intro, 40% question.
Well, the first book that I really loved as a kid was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Who's read that here? Okay, just about everybody. Even you.
I mean, I looked at the pictures. I'm a bad reader.
And it's really important you find a book that you want to read just for yourself, because teachers tell you to read books and parents tell you to read books, but if you find something you really love yourself, it's great. And then I read all of his books. I think probably my favorite is The Twits. Who's read The Twits?
Ah, yeah.
So many of you, because a very unusual children's book, doesn't have any children in it.
Yeah, right.
And it's basically about an old married couple who hate each other.
Yeah.
And wouldn't have thought that would be a kind of a great starting point for a children's book.
But it made everyone think about shaving little fine bits off the bottom of chairs and walking sticks.
That's brilliant. So I think that is probably my favourite of his books because it's so unusual.
Well, let's talk your books. Let's start, if we could, maybe with boys wearing dresses. Now, you yourself, you have worn a dress in your life, haven't you? Sometimes.
You've got to make a living somehow. And so I wrote this book, The Boy in the Dress.
Well, do you remember, I mean, it's a wonderful book, but do you remember in your life, I mean, you've worn some stunning dresses in your career, but do you remember your first dress?
Well, I had an older sister I've still got her, actually, Julie. And when I was younger, she used to dress me up. We had a dressing up box, and she'd dress me up in this mauve bridesmaid's dress, these little white sandals. She'd give me a handbag. She'd top it off with a fur hat, and then she would parade me up and down the street where we lived. And the last time was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm joking with you. It was 7 years ago, and from that point on, I realized I was quite comfortable in dresses. And I went to an all-boys school, and when it came to putting on a school play, there'd be girls' parts, but none of the boys wanted to play the girls' parts.
Yeah, of course.
Apart from me! And I actually got my first laughs. I was about 11 years old, and I played Queen Henrietta Maria in an operetta, because it was quite a posh school in England, so we do operettas. And I came on in a wedding dress and a wig that my mother had bought me from a jumble sale. And I had a fan, and I was fanning myself. It never occurred to me it would be funny. But people were laughing, and I thought, this is a good feeling.
You're right, so you didn't mind that they were laughing? This was addictive?
Well, you
was
want
it meant to be a
people
funny
to laugh
role?
with you and not at you.
But you'd take either?
I'll take at you. I'll take at you, guys. No, and it was a really exciting feeling. And from that moment on, I wanted to be a comedian. And I still hope one day I may become one. And then I started writing comedy sketches that I'd put on in school. And it wasn't a long time till I ever thought I would write a book.
Yeah, right. And did that wig get a good workout? Did that wig become one of your favourite wigs growing up?
Jumble sales in the early 1980s in the UK, you'd find great stuff. I mean, people would even put things like false teeth in there. You think that's quite specific to the owner. But yeah, wigs, for some reason, because now people go bald, they just go bald, don't they?
Yeah,
they
sure.
Get on with
You
it.
just do it gracefully.
In that era, people would happily wear wigs. Let's bring them back.
Well, were there any other moments growing up? Were there moments like now, because you spend a lot of your time creating worlds that kids understand? You know, you're writing for kids, you're creating these amazing worlds. Were there any other moments from your childhood that you look back on and go, oh, maybe that was, you know, the start of creating a world or the start of having a big imagination?
Well, I think actors have this, and writers, and I suppose lots of creative people, is that it's kind of good if you never quite grow up. Because
Absolutely.
when you're an actor, you're playing. You know, you're still playing like you did when you were a kid and you wanted to be a cowboy or something. And as a writer, too, you're using your imagination much in the way you do as a child when you play. And the wonderful thing when you are a child is you believe in magic. For example, there was a house at the end of our street that was deserted. And me and my sister used to go up on our bikes very, very slowly and silently. And we'd think that we saw the curtain move. And we'd go, there's a ghost, there's a ghost! And we'd charge off because we wanted to believe in magic. And I think it's really important that children's writers, they believe in magic too.
Did you ever go in the house?
No, I did not. That would have been wrong.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'd rather you didn't touch me. I mean, let's just put that out there now. Just there's boundaries, yeah?
Just build a little...
Just boundaries.
Just build a little wall out of books, so nothing can
You're
go
not
wrong.
on the radio with Andy now.
Oh, which is hard for me because I only have to speak half as much when I'm on the radio.
You're speaking quite a lot.
We could just... All right, I'll cut it down. I'll do 3-word questions. Favourite colour, go. Like writing? Do you have anyone in your family that you test out ideas on? Like, do you have someone that's sort of like a testing ground?
Yeah, well, I'm quite lucky because my nephew, Eddie, he's 8 years old.
Oh, great.
So he's exactly the right age to start reading these books. And so I often tell him about the stories and see if he's interested or not. And if it sounds like something he's finding funny or scary or whatever, then normally I'll go ahead and write the book. So it's quite lucky.
Has there ever been one that he didn't get into but you still persisted and wrote the book? Has he ever steered you in the wrong direction?
I don't think so, and because all the books have been wonderful. No, I can't think there has been. He's my nephew. He's going to be nice to me, isn't he?
Good. He's a good first audience. He's a good
Yeah.
first audience. Well, can we have a reading? We've talked about the books. Can we
Yeah,
start
it's
with a
okay.
reading?
Well, I'm going to read from Awful Auntie, and
Beautiful.
I'm going to read out loud. And this, has anyone read Awful Auntie? I haven't. I've no idea what it's about. I'm going to read a chapter which explains why this character here, Aunt Alberta, comes to have this giant Bavarian owl living with her. So how did Aunt Alberta come to have a great Bavarian mountain owl as a pet? In 1914, Europe was thrust into war. Alberta's brother Chester joined the army as an officer and was awarded a chestful of medals for his bravery on the battlefields of France. Meanwhile, his sister also enlisted and found herself fighting in the forests of Bavaria as a machine gunner. Unusually for someone who was British, she chose to fight on the German side. Alberta's only reason was that she preferred the German uniforms. She felt she looked smoking hot in one of the German army's spiked helmets, called Pickelhauben. One thing she had often done as a child was to steal rare birds' eggs. Alberta knew that the Great Bavarian Mountain Owl was one of the rarest birds in the world. So when she spotted one nesting in the forest where she was posted, she climbed the tree and stole the egg out of its nest. Then she sat on it until it hatched and named the little owlet Wagner, after her favorite German composer. The war ended soon after. Alberta had been fighting for the losing side, and the prospect of being sent to a prisoner of war camp did not appeal. So she stole a Zeppelin, one of the huge German military airships. With the little owlet Wagner safely under her arm, she took to the air. At first, all went well. She piloted the Zeppelin hundreds of miles over mainland Europe. However, while flying over the English Channel, disaster struck. The metal spike on her helmet burst the huge gas cell above her. Instantly, the Zeppelin started violently spurting hot air. It farted its way across the sky before crash landing into the sea with a plop. Alberta just managed to swim to shore, the owlet perched precariously on her head. Once safely back home, she began training the bird. Wagner never knew his real owl parents, but quickly accepted Alberta as his mother. Indeed, the woman would feed the owlet live worms and spiders from her mouth, passing them from lip to bill. As Wagner grew, so did the treats. Soon she would feed him mice and sparrows she had caught in traps. Food became a reward, and over time, Alberta had taught her owl a number of impressive tricks: fetching her slippers, flying a loop-the-loop, aerial reconnaissance, dive-bombing children's kites, stealing old ladies' knickers from washing lines, dropping stink bombs from the air at the village's summer fete, delivering a letter or parcel within a 100-mile radius, duetting with her on her favorite German opera arias, to use a special owl urinal when having an owl pee, to swoop on kittens and devour them in one gulp, bones and all, and finally, to make an apple strudel. Owling, owlery, owlcraft, owlistry, owlography, owlosophy, call it what you will, Alberta became an expert. Soon she and her beloved Wagner became famous in owling circles. They even started doing photo shoots for specialist bird of prey publications, such as My Owl, Just Owls, 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 Owls Only, Mature Owls, and Owling Monthly, the magazine for owls and their admirers. Once, they even appeared together on the cover of Twit Woo, very much the hello magazine of the owl world. Alberta and Wagner, Wagner and Alberta. It was a very close relationship. The pair traveled everywhere together on Alberta's motorcycle, with Wagner in the sidecar. Both had matching leather flying helmets and goggles. What was more unusual still was that Alberta and Wagner shared a bed, and also they would take baths together. It wasn't natural, it wasn't right, and it definitely couldn't be hygienic, especially not for the owl. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Now, David, obviously, before you got into writing books, very successful television career. And now for a lot of people, they would just hang up their hat and say, that's it, I'm done. I mean, I would. But you pushed on and you've written some incredible books. Was it a difficult transition to go from TV star into writing books? Was it tough to get taken seriously?
I think there's a couple of things. One is celebrities have given books a bad name. Mentioning no names. Madonna. You know,
but Kim Kardashian's is spot on.
No, I think they are works of literature. And so, you know, there's people often think a well-known person writing a book, there's something cynical about it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, Little Britain was quite adult, although some children liked it. It was adult, so I think people didn't immediately trust that I would be able to write a book for children that didn't have sort of references to adult breastfeeding or something like that. So you can YouTube Bitty later, children.
There'll be a lot of net nanny tonight. Block, block, block.
So I had to get over those things. But the brilliant thing that happened was that Quentin Blake, who's Sir Quentin Blake, he's probably the most famous illustrator in the world.
Absolutely.
Illustrated all of Roald Dahl's books. He agreed to illustrate The Boy in the Dress, and then he did Mr. Stink. And so I think people thought, well, if he thinks it's good enough for him to illustrate, maybe it's a good book.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that would be a very surreal moment, having the same illustrator as Roald.
It was amazing. I mean, just meeting him. I mean, I couldn't believe he was actually going to illustrate my words. But just the first time I met him, it was sort of, you know, you're meeting a figure from your past. And when you meet somebody who was famous when you were a kid, they're on a pedestal much higher than people you meet who are only famous when you're an adult. But you know what I mean? Your childhood heroes remain heroes, don't they?
Absolutely. Did you get him to do like a little sketch for you? Like, do you have an original of his or something framed at your house?
I do, yes. Every time I see him, can you dash something off?
Come on.
You just draw something on this napkin? Quickly, straight on eBay. Yeah. No, I have got a few. I'm lucky to have a few. And I'm a big supporter of his work because he set up a museum of illustration in the UK too.
Ah, beautiful. Now, Raj is a character that's appeared in a lot of your books, but not in Awful Auntie.
Okay, well, Raj is... Getting
Why?
Okay, fine, getting stuff. Raj, if you don't know, he's a newsagent. He runs a corner shop. And he's in all the first 6 books. They're all set in modern-day Britain. But Awful Auntie is set all in a country house in the 1930s. And I did some research, and apparently they didn't have newsagent shops in the country house run by Indian men at that time. And so I didn't include him. But he did write a letter of complaint at the end of Awful Auntie, complaining that he's not in the book. So I did that. And then
That's so nice of you to publish it.
A child the other day in Auckland said, "Did you write the letter of complaint or did Raj?"
Come.
That's sweet, isn't it? Nice.
Obviously, Raj.
Obviously, Raj.
Now that you've been in Australia for a few days, how long have you been here?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. That is a few days. Will we see more Australian characters? Will we see an Australian flavour creep into any future books?
Well, I got asked in New Zealand whether I would include a character from New Zealand. And I said yes, and it got a round of applause. And so I will say yes. There
Not
was
to the
definitely
New Zealand one,
gonna
though.
be an Australian character. And I'm hoping that by the time the next book comes out, you'll have all forgotten the promise I made.
Or you just have to set one in Australia and New Zealand, and the book's called Fulfilling Promises.
Well, I had no idea. It's a real thrill to come here, so far from home, and find that people are, they have read the books and they do enjoy them.
Oh, absolutely. Now, we're going to hear from Gangster Granny in a second. The Queen features in it. No easy way to bring this up, but you've met her, haven't you? You met the real Queen.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. To talk to you about meeting the Queen. I actually met her 4 times.
Oh, wow. God, you can't keep away from her.
More the other way around, guys. And the weird thing is, in the very unlikely event that you will ever meet the Queen.
It's so unlikely.
It's remote. You're told before you meet her, you can't ask her a question. Tough. So it's quite hard making conversation with someone without being able to ask a question. So I was hosting this thing, the Raw Variety performance, and if you're the host and all the acts gather on the stage and she comes around and talks to you afterwards, but you can't ask her a question. Of course, you'd like to say, did you enjoy the show or something? And all I could think of saying was, "Thanks for coming." But she has to, because it's the Royal Variety Show. But One Direction were on the same show, and she went up to them and she went, "Do you always work as a group?" Like, yeah. One Direction. Where have you been?
Maybe that's when Zayn got his idea about leaving. He was like, "Oh, the Queen's throwing a spanner in the works."
Let's not open that can of worms.
Sorry, guys. I don't know if there's 1D fans. No tears. Come on. It's a happy day. Obviously, just under meeting the Queen would be working on Britain's Got Talent in terms of...
Working with a different Queen, Simon Cowell.
There we go. Not allowed to ask him questions or look at him. Does that, they're very interesting characters that make it on the stage on Britain's Got Talent. Is it good for writing to see people...
It's brilliant,
that
because
are that odd?
I always loved watching Britain's Got Talent before I was on it. And I met Simon Cowell, and he said it's the real-life version of your show, Little Britain, because it was full of these incredible, eccentric characters. And actually, one of the characters inspired one of the characters I put in my book, because this gentleman came on the stage. He had greasy, long black hair, very dark glasses, and his false teeth rattling in his mouth, and he sort of wheezed like that. And the first thing he said, he came on the stage, he went, "I know what you're thinking. They've dug up Roy Orbison." It was an unnerving start. It's like, I thought, all right, okay. And I said, "What's your act?" He goes, "I'm going to eat live cockroaches." And he took out this brown
More
paper
of an act
bag.
of desperation, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. You see some rubbish on that show. It's one of the better acts. And he took out this brown paper bag that was moving, and he started eating these live cockroaches. And so he got buzzed off very quickly. Simon Cowell doesn't like people, but he does love animals. But it got me thinking. I thought, if he eats live cockroaches, what else might he do? Might he also turn rats into burgers? And then he inspired the story Rat Burger.
Does he know that? Have you ever
No,
thought
and
to
the
track
best
him
thing
down?
is, didn't have to pay him a penny. Just took
he's
his
just going to
life.
blow it on cockroaches anyway.
Yeah, so you do meet lots of brilliant characters, and I bet there's some budding writers in the audience today, is there? Some of you kids probably write at school, enjoy it? Nobody at all.
Yeah. No, just waiting for the next speech.
Yeah, I see a hand up there. The best thing I'd say to you, if you want to write stories, is keep your eyes and ears open at all times, because you never know when you're going to be given an idea on a plate sometimes, as I was with that guy from Britain's Got Talent. So
just be on oddball alert.
Yeah, just get a job judging a talent show, and then you meet all kinds of strange people.
It's a simple bit of advice. Mr. Stink, Gangster Granny, and The Boy in the Dress made into films. That's huge. That's exciting. As well as writing books, now the books are being made into films. That's incredible.
Well, when we say films, we mean TV films.
Oh, forget about it then. Okay. No, but that's still... That is...
Well, I don't want to go, oh, yes, films, like $200 million,
But that's still incredible.
The Boy in the Dress, The Age of Ultron. It wasn't that. But I'm very proud of them. And they're actually on this weekend on ABC3. Gangster Granny and Mr. Stink.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I think we've got a clip.
We've got clips of all
got
three,
trailers.
if you'd like to see them.
Can we see? I'm pretending I'm in control of that. I'm not, but yeah. Oh, there. That's me with the mouse. Yep, and I'll just click. Yeah, good. No, I've decided I've decided not to play it. I'm going to have another go. Aren't I?
No, okay. Don't worry.
Am I? I think I will. Yeah. I think I'll just have another go. Sorry, Dave, I just detected that you didn't want me to play it, but now I think I will. I'm just going to move my mouse up. Yep, just going to press a little triangle. Press it. Media not found.
Media not found.
Okay, well, we hate to tell you, the films have been cancelled. This is such a horrible way to find out.
What I could do is, if you like, I could read a bit of Gangster Granny.
Even better than the film. Yes.
At no extra cost to you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read from my book, Gangster Granny. And this is a part of the story where Ben has gone round to his grandma's house, and he's found a biscuit tin in her kitchen. And he opened it up, and it was full of priceless jewels. And he confronted his grandma about it, and she said, "I'm actually an international jewel thief." And they laid out all the jewels on the carpet of her living room. and she told them the story of how she stole each one. And just at that moment, they notice someone is peering in at the window. Ben's eyes darted towards the window. For a brief moment, he saw a dark figure wearing a strange hat peer through the dirty glass and then quickly disappear out of view. There was a man peering in at the window, said Ben breathlessly. Oh, no, said Granny. I told you not to look. Shall I go out and see who it was? Oh, I bet it was my nosy neighbour, Mr. Parker. He's a retired major, and now he runs the local neighbourhood watch. What's neighbourhood watch? Oh, it's a group of local people who keep an eye out for burglars. But Mr. Parker just uses it as an excuse to spy on everyone. The nosy old git. I often come back from the supermarket with me bag of cabbages and sees hiding behind his net curtains, spying on me with a pair of binoculars. Is he suspicious about you? Oh, he's suspicious about everyone. We have to keep an eye out for him, young lad. The man is a menace. Ben went over to the window and peered out. He couldn't see anyone. Bring! Ben's heart nearly missed a beat. It was only the doorbell, but if they let Mr. Parker inside, he would see all the evidence the police would need to send Ben and his granny straight to prison. Don't answer it, said Ben, as he ran to the middle of the room and started stuffing all the jewels back in the tin as quickly as he could. What do you mean, don't answer it? He knows I'm at home. He just saw us through the window. You answer the door and I will hide the jewels. Me? Yes, you. Hurry. Bring. This ring was more insistent. Mr. Parker had left his finger on the buzzer for even longer. Ben took a deep breath and walked calmly through the hall to the front door. He opened it. Outside stood a man in a silly hat. Yes, said Ben in a squeaky high voice. Can I help you? Mr. Parker put his foot inside the bungalow so the front door couldn't be closed on him. Who are you? He barked nasally. He had a very big nose, which made him seem even nosier than he was, and he already seemed extremely nosy. Because he had a big nose, he also had a very nasal voice, which made everything he said, however serious, seem a little bit absurd. But his eyes shone red like a demon. Friend, snarled Mr. Parker, pushing open the front door. He was stronger than Ben and soon forced his way inside. I mean, grandson, Mr. Parker, sir, said Ben, retreating back towards the living room. Why are you lying to me, he said, taking several paces forward as Ben took several paces back. It was as if they were dancing the tango. I'm not lying, cried Ben. They reached the living room door. You can't go in there, yelled Ben, thinking of the jewels still scattered all over the carpet. Why not? Because Granny is doing her naked yoga. Ben needed a dramatic excuse to stop Mr. Parker barging through the door and seeing the jewels. He was pretty sure he had hit the jackpot as Mr. Parker paused and furrowed his brow. Sadly, the nosy neighbour was not convinced. Naked yoga, a likely story. I need to talk to your grandmother right away. Now get out of my way, you nasty little worm of a boy, he said, as he shoved the boy aside and opened the living room door. Granny must have heard Ben through the door because when Mr. Parker burst into the room, she was standing in her bra and knickers in tree pose. Mr. Parker, do you mind? Said Granny, in mock horror that he had seen her in a state of undress. Mr. Parker's eyes spun around the room. He didn't know where to look. So he fixed his glare on the now bare carpet. Excuse me, madam, but I need to ask you, where are those jewels I saw a moment ago? Ben spied the biscuit tin that Granny kept the jewels in, poking out from behind the sofa. He edged it out of view with his foot. What jewels, Mr. Parker? Have you been spying on me again? Well, I had good reason. I was suspicious when I saw a young gentleman enter your property. And as head of neighbourhood watch, I must report anything suspicious I see to the police. I've got a good mind to report you to the police, Mr. Parker, said Ben. Granny looked at him curiously. "Whatever for?" said the man. His eyes narrowed. They were now so red, it was like there was a fire in his brain. "For spying on old ladies in their underwear." "Well, she was fully clothed when I looked through the window." "Oh, that's what they all say," said Granny. There you are. Thank you.
Beautiful. And such a lovely tree pose too. You obviously do yoga.
I have studied yoga. Yeah. Pretty good at it.
Just casually.
Yeah.
This might be a weird question, but are there ever days or weeks or months even where you just don't feel like writing? Like for kids that want to be a writer, what do you do in those situations?
Well, it's one of those things. It's like doing homework. You have to force yourself because it is hard work. Even though you enjoy it, it's hard work. So I set myself little rewards. I say, if I finish that chapter, I could have a biscuit. Sometimes, when we're really close to the deadline, I say, you can't go to the toilet until you finish that chapter. And that's hard.
That's why some chapters have no spaces at the end. Just all the words run together.
But I love doing it, but before you start writing a new book, I liken it to like you're at the bottom of a mountain and you're staring up at it and you know you've got to climb it. And because you're at the very bottom, it's sort of like the worst place you can be. But when you're halfway up, you know, it starts to get another. And then when you get to the very top, it's beautiful and you can see everything. And
you can go to the toilet.
And you've got a wonderful sense of achievement and you can finally have a pee.
It's often toilets at the top, at the car park.
So yeah, I love it. And I'm writing a new book actually at the moment.
Oh, really? Mm. How far through are you?
Well...
Can we know is it top secret?
No, I'd like to share it with the good people of Australia today.
Oh my God.
It's called Grandpa's Great Escape, and it's about a little boy who helps his grandfather escape from an old people's home. It's a maximum security twilight home that I know a few of you will be returning to after today's session. And I've had a lot of fun writing it so far, but it's been good because I've been traveling around. I went to New Zealand as well, and so I've had a little bit of downtime and time to write.
Is there any, would there be a lot of ingenious escape tactics, I imagine, he has to come up with? What's the highest security bit at the home?
Well, one of my favourite films is The Great Escape,
of course,
which I absolutely love. So I've been quite inspired by that. So it's old people digging their way out.
Very, very slowly. Let's hope the earth is nice and soft. This is, I actually was a bit of a budding author myself as a child, but I sadly gave the game away.
Right.
When I was 7, I wrote a book.
Oh.
I don't want to impose upon you here, but...
Well, don't then.
Okay, great. But I wrote a book called Slime the Girls.
Yeah.
This is it. It was circa 1942. So I was 8 years old. That's me and my friend in a plane there. Is it all right if I just go through the book with you? You can tell me if it's got any merit.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the front cover. Here we go. So I'll translate because it was not the best handwriting. Mike and I have the fastest plane in the world is sort of the opening page.
Okay.
Setting the scene. It can drop slime. So it's obviously Mike and I, and I'm dropping slime, and I do all the illustrations myself as well.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, great.
They're great.
That's
They're
not
really
a professional.
Good.
That's
really
not
good.
Quentin Blake.
No.
That's
Is
Hamish.
it not? No.
That's Hamish Blake. Yeah, we slime the girls so that you can see two girls getting slimed. We're almost there. We're halfway through. Next page. We could slime them all day.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get across to the reader there is both A, my work ethic, and B, my plane's outstanding capacity for maximum slime. Next, I think this is all. Oh yeah, then we get a roast dinner. So it's sort of, I guess, whoever's catering for us is anti-girl as well. And the end.
Wonderful.
Thank you so
Very
much.
good.
Bonus reading. Thought you were only getting one great author today. Thoughts, author to author.
It seems that slime is a metaphor for something else, and that's disturbing.
Sure.
And the plane, in a way, is representing something else.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's really, I can only think it came from a dark and troubled mind. Even at
No,
that age.
I spent the next 6 years in a juvenile detention centre being studied. But Mike grew up fine as well. I mean, relatively fine.
Yeah. It's got...
I could flesh it out.
Yeah, well, come back to me. Yeah, come back to me when you've written a bit more.
There's no chance we're going to see any grandpas sliming the girls in your upcoming book.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
But you can plagiarise if you want. Full permission.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I mean, we're on a bit of a tight schedule because I know that you actually have to catch a literal plane tonight, not a slime dropping one. You actually have to get on a real plane. So we are able to take questions from the audience.
Oh, fantastic.
If you'd be interested now.
And there's goodie bags for the best questions.
Oh,
and we've got all kinds of treats in there, posters.
Copies of Slime the Girls.
Wagner Owl. We've also got $10,000 in cash in each bag, so...
There's some treats.
It's worth having,
Just
guys.
some fun little treats for you guys for the way home. Now, there are microphones set up, weirdly enough, near the exits. So if you just ask a question and you hate it, you can run away.
So if you have a question, you have to come over to the microphone, and then we'll alternate. But first of all, I think we have a question from someone online.
We do. If you guys want to get down in an orderly fashion,
Right.
guys, we should probably just point out too, we probably won't have time for 1,000 questions. Okay, here's the other fun thing about question and answer. There needs to be someone left in the audience to hear the answer. Okay.
So this first question came online.
This is from Digby. He's in Bathurst because the cameras around are actually streaming this event too, so people in regional areas can see this and can hear David as well. So this is, technically going all around the world. This is from Digby. Are any of the characters in your books based on people in your family?
Well, definitely Gangster Granny was based on my real granny because when I was young, I kind of thought, oh, she's always been old. And she's always been an old lady who sits at home and plays Scrabble. And one day I asked her about, when she was younger, World War II because she was alive then. She was living in London, the time of the Blitz, bombs falling on London, and she was hiding in the underground and getting up to all kinds of adventures. And that was really the starting point in my head for the story Gangster Granny. I thought all old people have secrets and stories if only we ask them.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, great.
So shall we go? We'll sort of alternate. So we'll start up there, we'll go to you, and then we'll come down. Okay.
All right, up the top. What's your name?
My name is Imogen.
Hello.
Take it away, Imogen.
I want to ask, what book inspired you to be a writer?
What book inspired me to be a writer? Well, I suppose the first book that I loved, which was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, on some level. If you're really enjoying a story, you often think, I'd like to write one too. So I think it was probably that. That was my first book that I really loved reading, and so it probably got me thinking, it fueled my imagination.
Thanks,
Good
Imogen.
question. So we'll go up here.
There we go.
How old were you when you wrote your first book?
I was 68. I've had quite a lot of work done, as you can see. If you were close up, you could probably spot it, yeah. I was actually 30. Well, you started very early with your masterpiece.
And peaked.
But it took me a little long. I think I was about 36. Okay. Yes.
What inspired you to make the book Demon Dentist?
Well, I thought there's one thing that pretty much we all hate, right? Going to the dentist. It's not something you can enjoy. And I thought, how can I scare off children from going to the dentist for life? And really incur the wrath of dentists and parents. And so by creating a character who wasn't just a dentist, who was actually a tooth witch who took out children's teeth when she didn't need to. So it came from that fear I think we all have of going to the dentist. Right.
What inspired you to write Billionaire Boy?
What inspired me to write Billionaire Boy? Well, it's one of those things we often think, oh, wouldn't it be great if we were rich? We think it would solve all our problems and we'd be happy. And I wanted to write a story about a little boy who had £1 billion, but didn't have a friend. And he learned that having a friend is much more important. Okay, so we're going to go back up there.
Yeah, let's go up the top. What's your name?
Rosie.
Hi, Rosie. Take it away.
Seeing as Raj is in most of your books, do you ever see the characters from your other books in the towns of your other characters?
As in, would I like to bring them together, or do you mean,
Not so much as like bringing them together, but do you ever feel, for example, Zoe from Ratburger is in Ben from Gangster Granny's town?
Yes, well, Raj, I suppose it must be all the same town. I like because there's only one newsagent shop. But I sort of think that they don't know each other, all the characters. They're all living separate lives, and only Raj binds them together. That's a good question.
Yeah, great.
Right. Yes, sir. Up there.
What would be your favourite book out of all the books you've ever written?
That would be 50 Shades of Grey. That was, there's some good.
Exquisite.
Yeah, and there was some good royalties, and it's a great book for kids as well. That
I thought Quentin Blake was brave to illustrate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being silly and I'm being naughty, and I'm sorry. I've let myself down. Okay. My favourite book that I've written, I'd say maybe Mr. Stink, because it's quite a heartfelt story about how much you could love the smelliest person in the world. And so I enjoyed that. I think we should have a goodie bag for that question, because it got a...
Well done, goodie bag. Our first goodie bag.
First one. So we come back down here?
Yeah, I think
we haven't come to you.
we were doing the full circle. Go for it.
Have you ever eaten like a disgusting food like a rat burger or something?
Have I ever eaten disgusting food like a rat burger? Well, I don't know if you've ever been to England, but it's not famous for its food. The food's a lot nicer here. Well, when I was young, there were lots of urban myths. I don't know if you had them here, but stories that we didn't know were true or not. And it was things like someone went to Kentucky Fried Chicken and they bit into the chicken and there was a rat's tail.
Yeah.
Or there's a Chinese restaurant and they opened the deep freeze and there was a dog in there. Now, to my mind, that's a lot of trouble to go to get a dog. It's like cutting it up and passing it off as duck or something. So it probably weren't true, but that definitely inspired Ratburger. So,
beautiful. Down here?
There's one audition in Britain's Got Talent where all the judges press the buzzer, but you just seem to be really enjoying yourself, just annoying them, and just listening to and watching the act, and the guy was wearing a blue suit and black hair, and you ended up pressing your gold buzzer because you were so disappointed that they'd all pressed your red buzzer. It was really... Did that ever inspire you to write a story?
To write a story? Well, I mean, it's a story in itself. It's a saga, isn't it, really? I mean, it's a 3-book series. Peter Jackson could make an epic film out of that. Well, yeah, I mean, I actually nearly wrote a book about... I wanted to write a book about a boy band with, like a One Direction boy band, where a Simon Cowell figure replaces one of them with a robot. And there's a fan who spots it, and it turns out the Simon Cowell figure has a metal heart, which is why he has no feelings. So yes, I suppose in a roundabout way, I've kind of answered your question. I think you should get a goodie bag, because that was fun. Good question. So 2 more to go.
Two more
to go.
Up the top. Go for it.
In Raj's shop, are there any other employees besides himself?
Interesting
In
question.
Raj's shop, are there any employees other than himself? There's actually 107 people who work in the shop through the night, stocking the shelves and everything. No, it's very much a one-man enterprise. So it's one of those shops that when he goes out, the shop closes. You know, those kind of shops. And actually, the road up from where I live in London, there was a shop called Raj's News, and it was the real Raj had the shop. He's moved away now, I don't know where he went, but he had a famously messy shop. If you went in and said, "Oh, I'd like a bar of Cadbury's Dairy Milk," he'll say, "Yes, well, check under the Tipex." And so he inspired me. But no, he had no employees, just him on his own.
I think we're up the top here. Do we have anyone on the mic? Yep, go for it.
When did you think of writing books?
When did I think of writing books? Well, really, I just had an idea swimming around in my head, which was The Boy in the Dress. I thought, what would happen if a boy went to school dressed as a girl? And I thought, oh, this is the real world. How would his dad react? How would his friends react? How would his teachers react? And it was going round and round in my head, and I thought, I better write this down, because otherwise I'm going to be thinking about it forever. Okay, good question.
That's great.
So,
down the front here.
In Boy in the Dress, what inspired you to make the boy in the dress wear the dress that he was wearing? Was it like a dress that you had worn, or
was it a Chanel number? Give us. Where'd you buy it?
Well, I've worn a lot of dresses over the years on television, and the awful thing is, I don't actually look pretty as a woman.
Don't be silly. Don't you dare say that.
You serious about this?
I think you look gorgeous. Do you think he looks good as a lady? Yes. Yes.
Oh, you guys!
Now, about that New Zealand character, we can lose that, can't we?
I suppose I just wanted to write a book about what it is to be different, because I think we all feel different in some way or another, and I wanted to celebrate being different, and I wanted to say, however you might feel different, it might be because of the way you look, it might be because of the religion you've been brought up in, whatever it might be, it's not something we should ever be ashamed of, it's something we should celebrate.
Absolutely.
And that was the starting point.
Absolutely.
Yes.
what got your ideas for Awful Auntie? Is there like some type of big country house back where you live that inspired you to make that book?
Yes, I have a big country house in my back garden, actually. No, actually, it's a strange one, and this will only mean something to the adults, but I was actually a bit inspired by the film The Shining, which you wouldn't think would be good for children. But in The Shining, which you shouldn't watch until you're 18, because it's terrifying.
It's about a very popular lamp.
A family are all stuck in this, it's actually a hotel, and there's snow all around them. And someone who you thought was a good character turns out to actually goes mad, and he turns bad. Yeah. And I thought, is there a children's version of this? So I thought a country house, a niece, an awful auntie, and they're trapped. They're trapped in one place, and that was really the starting point. I thought I'd love to write a story about people all in one place.
That's cool.
Good question.
Up the top, mate,
yes.
What's your name?
Fred.
G'day.
Did you write your story, The Demon Dentist, because you didn't like your dentist?
Well, I didn't. What happened was, when I was young, we moved dentists. And I used to have this dentist who said, "You've got lovely teeth, David, don't need to do anything." And then we changed dentists. And this woman started to give me fillings and all kinds of things, saying I needed braces and everything. And I didn't like it. And I thought, yeah, I will get my revenge on this woman. And that was really the whole point of the enterprise. Okay.
Up the top here?
Are any of your books about you, like Mr. Stink?
Yeah.
Do you need me to get security?
Welcome to Australia. There we go. Plain speaking people. They speak their mind. Well, actually, what's your name? Bruce?
No. Jules.
Jules. Okay,
Yeah.
Jules. Well, actually, it was inspired by a story a friend told me, that when he was young, he used to get driven to school by his mum every day, and they'd always see this old lady waiting on the side of the road for the bus. And then one day they thought, well, we'll stop and give her a lift. And she got in the car and she absolutely stank. And they had like tears running down there, like, choking. And they never gave her a lift again. And it got me thinking, could you love the smelliest person in the world? And that was really the start for Mr. Stink.
Great question, Jules.
Just so you know, I don't stink. Okay. But I think that deserves a goodie bag.
No, he's great. He's great.
It
smells terrific. Well done, Jules. Yeah, you can get a goodie bag.
So you get
One
a goodie
to go.
bag for just basically insulting.
Just for heckling. Yeah.
There we go. So where do we go to next?
Down here. Go for it, mate.
What's your least favourite character and favourite character in all the books you've written?
My least favourite character.
And your favourite?
Oh, that's that's kind of hard. I've got to sort of say one of them's not very good. But I love to have villains. And so I prefer the books that have the villains in, because the last few books, we've had Bert in Ratburger, we've had Miss Root in Demon Dentist, we've had Aunt Alberta. So I wished I'd written villains earlier, because villains make good stories. That's a good tip for any budding writers. Always invent a good villain. And my favourite character, I think it might be Mr. Stink, because he's a little bit magical, really. He's a bit like Father Christmas in a way. He comes into this family's life and he disappears, and he might be real or he might be not. There's a real mystery around him. So I think probably he's my favourite.
Yeah.
Do we have one goodie bag left
We've got
now?
one goodie bag left.
We've got one goodie bag, so we're looking out for that goodie bag question.
This could be it. This could be the question. No, but also, feel free, just shoot your note far away.
So you've worked with 2 illustrators, Tony Ross and Quentin Blake, but which do you think does the best illustrations?
Ooh. And they're both here tonight.
And it's being streamed worldwide, so we'll probably find out. Well, actually, Quentin, he recommended Tony because he said, I can't quite keep up with the pace in which you're writing the books, and I'd like to hand over to my good friend Tony Ross, who he said is equally as good as me. And they couldn't separate the two. So I've been very lucky. I've worked with 2 brilliant illustrators, both of which are equally as good as each other, I think. Okay?
And I think try.
I think that deserves
That's a goodie bag. Oh, do you know what? The very last goodie bag, David has it himself.
Do you want to come and get it?
Come on up.
Hello, mate. Be careful. Here we go. What's your name? Lawrence. There we are.
There you go, Lawrence. Do you want a flower as well? There you go.
There we go.
Just
get home safely.
Oh, do you want to have a quick picture?
Oh, we're going to do a quick picture, Lawrence. There we are. Here we go.
With your flower and David.
There we go. Don't spend all that money at once.
Well, we're out of goodie bags.
I'm really sorry.
And that means now that we've given away the goodie bags, guys, I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, but we do have to thank David. Unfortunately, he does have to get on a plane.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, because it's been such a brilliant session. Thank you very much,
Nothing.
Hamish.
No, it was a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thank
Real
you.
pleasure.
Love to see you again.
But guys, seriously, we're so lucky to have David here. You know, such an amazing mind, such amazing books. It's been a real treat. I'm sure you agree. Please thank David Walliams for joining us.
Thank you very much
This afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get out of
Thank
here, you rascal.
Thank you.